A society to have order and to protect its citizens must have rules. Rules or laws are created and agencies are formed to enforce the rules. In the United States, you are innocent until proven guilty. Our judicial system, our courts, have the task of determining guilt. When guilt is found, the courts mete out the consequences. If we follow the rules of our society, we may never have to face the bar of justice inside a criminal courtroom. Join us now as we see an actual Lake County court in session.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Judge Miller. Could all of you, including the visitors we have in the room, please raise your right hands? All the way, right hand, all the way. Do each of you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and this you do under the pains and penalty of perjury? Yes. Thank you. You can put your hands down. Each of you has a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. When you get to the microphone, please let me know if you're under 18. Please let me know if you're not a citizen of the United States. If you're not a citizen of the United States, entering a plea today could affect your immigration status. Please let me know if you're on probation or parole, because if you plead today, it could affect your probation or parole status. If you plead today, you're giving up your right to have a trial and have an attorney represent you at the trial. Today, we're being tape recorded, that's what the blue light means, and videotaped. If I sentence you on a criminal case, you need to go to room 105 and either sign up for the payment plan or pay it in full. The least that can be is $273. That is in addition to whatever we sentence you to here in the courtroom. Next, we have Ballroom Bajnath. You're charged with driving while license suspended. Your license was suspended for DUI, so your bond was set at $10,000. You obviously bonded out, and this is jail time because anyone who drives on a license suspended for DUI does jail time.
No, but I get this promotion about Tommy say I have a DUI 2012, which I never did. It's 2010. I finished all the classes.
All right, let me back up. On October 1st, 2012, your license was suspended for 6 months for DUI. You never reinstated your license. It could be the one in Georgia.
Yeah. That's the one in Georgia.
All right. In Lake County, in 2009, you had a refusal to submit to a breath test that suspended you for a year. So that would have had to have been your second refusal.
I didn't refuse. I don't know when I get in public because I told them I didn't refuse, and they told me 2012.
Right, your license was suspended as of October 1st, 2012.
I did all the classes in what they told me to do. When I called the DMV, they said they sent an address, a statement to me.
All right, stop talking, please.
And I never received.
Stop talking! All right, State, could you come up and look at his record? This is very peculiar. This says they didn't send him notice of this suspension from 2012, from October, until March of this year. This says he received notice via court order, but that would have been, he would have been told when he had the DUI, you're suspended for 6 months, but he wouldn't have known when it kicked in. It obviously didn't kick in starting with court. So I think we're going to have him say not guilty while we figure out. Okay, Mr. Bajnath.
Yes, ma'am.
You got suspended October 2012 for driving under the influence. But the paperwork says that Tallahassee didn't send you notice until March the 7th, and you were stopped within 5 days. So I can't be sure you got that notice.
Sorry.
There are some issues here, so I think you should say not guilty. If you can afford a private attorney, get one. If you can't afford a private attorney, I'll appoint the public defender to try to figure out if you knew or should have known you were suspended.
Yeah.
I've never had one like this before.
I need a public defender.
How much do you make a week?
I make like $350.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender. There'll be a $250 charge for their services, and one of these gentlemen will explain how to do it. And everything you are just bursting to tell me right now, share with your attorney, because there are some peculiar things in your case.
Because when I call him movie,
No, talk to them. John Barfield. Mr. Barfield. Like your shirt. 27 March 2013. All right, Mr. Barfield, you're charged with no motor vehicle registration. How long have you had this vehicle?
How long have I had? I'm a little hard of hearing, ma'am.
How long have you had this vehicle?
6.5 years.
How did it have no registration?
Because it's a farm equipment. It's never been in any place except to the gas station and on the farm. That's
All
it.
right, let me read it.
Your Honor,
There's a statute which says farm equipment does have its own category and doesn't have to be registered and whatever. The officer's paperwork says this is just a regular ATV.
that's what he told me too.
I couldn't hear what you said because I was talking.
Oh.
Oh, I forgot you have a hearing issue. All right, I need for you to say not guilty today, and when you come back at your next court date, I need a picture of this vehicle. I need all the paperwork that you can get me on this vehicle, like off the internet or whatever, but I need a picture of the vehicle.
I have a picture on my phone.
Okay, can I see it, please?
Absolutely.
The next person, when we're finished here, is Frankie Brown. Where's Frankie Brown? You'll be next. Mr. Brown, I'm going to start on you. Stay. You're charged with driving while license suspended. Oh my goodness. You had one in 05, another in 05, one in 06, but that's more than 5 years ago. You had one in 2012 we have to talk about. You got habitualized in 2006. That's over with. Then you got a DUI in January. You were suspended in January for DUI. And you got stopped for driving allegedly in March. So that's jail time. We'll get with you in a moment for the details. All right, this is called a mule, right?
It's called a Polaris. It's on the same thing as a mule. Yeah.
Sideways? Up. Okay.
My understanding was
Okay. I'm agreeing with your understanding, but we just need to get a copy of the statute, etc. Could you hand this to him? We're going to give you a new court date, 2 new court dates. Okay, the first court date, you do not need to come in, just call us. And at that time, the state will say, well, we researched it, we think this, could you show you won't be here. Ms. Lisa, could you look at it? Could you show her the picture? I think this falls under the category of farm vehicle, and that's an exception to most of the rules. Okay, you saw it now, so you can remember what to tell people. So I think you should say not guilty. There's your phone. I think you should say not guilty, and you're going to call us on the first court date, and we'll tell you whether they're dropping it or not dropping it.
okay.
If they're not dropping it, you're going to have to come in for the second court date, which will be a week after the telephone call.
A week after. Okay.
Okay. SAO to research.
Ma'am, I don't know. There's no FAO on it at all. It's just a little Polaris.
SAO to research if this is farm vehicle exception. All right, I know off the top of my head that last year they created an exception for municipal vehicles, that if the city has one of these, the city can drive it on the roads, etc. But there's also a farm vehicle exception. And so we need to research that a little. Miss Angie, could you write it up? The first time he may call in, and we'll put the number on it. Second time he must appear if it's going forward.
Yeah.
All All right, you're going to call in at the first court date.
Okay.
That's on here. When you call in, I'm going to say, well, it went away, or I'm going to say it's not going to go away. You have to come in next week.
Okay. Can I say one other thing? After he gave me this, the officer gave me this, he watched me get right back on the road and go home.
Well, it was nice of him to let you do that.
I think so too.
Okay. So we're going to find out. I think this qualifies as an exception.
Okay.
But I'm not going to, I have so many people today. Ordinarily, I would look it up right now. But we still have people waiting outside.
I understand.
So you're going to call us for the next court date, and we'll tell you at that time what the research shows.
Okay.
All righty?
All righty.
All right, wait for your paperwork. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next, we have Frankie Brown. Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown. Is your DUI still pending?
I know it was, there's a matter I had spoke with an attorney, and he told me to just come in, plead not guilty,
Okay.
and, take it up with the...
Thank you for letting me know. Okay, so we're entering a not guilty on your behalf, and you're going to secure your own attorney. Do you know who your attorney will be?
Right now, it's a toss-up between two of them.
Tell your attorney to look into your driving while license suspended cases, because you may get habitualized if you haven't already been habitualized. You may get habitualized again if your attorney doesn't take care of some loose ends.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
We understand
so
what's going on.
tell your attorney that I said he needs to take care of some loose ends, or you'll be habitualized again.
Can I ask you one thing? I don't think I ever after I got my license back when I was driving on a learner's permit. Then I got my license back. I haven't ever had another driver on suspended license. My license was suspended for an insurance issue, which I paid that.
Discuss it with your attorney, but your driving record says you got 2 in 2005 and 1 in 2006.
That was when I went on the 5-year. Okay.
All right, Jamila Brown. It still counts. Still counts. So discuss it with your attorney. Those were more than 5 years ago, Mr. Brown, so they won't habitualize you, but the last one will, and if there was a DUI, you get 3 driving while license suspended or DUIs in a 5-year period in Tallahassee takes your license for 5 years. Okay, you are Jamila Brown. Am I saying Jamila correctly?
Correct.
You are charged with driving while license suspended. You were suspended for not paying a ticket in Osceola County. And have you taken care of it?
No, I'm going to take care of it today.
If I give you another court date in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month?
2 weeks.
Okay, we'll give you another court date in 2 weeks, and you can come in here with a valid driver's license. We're going to make it a month. And I'm going to ask Ms. Angie to put the language in here that if you get your valid driver, well, that's presumptuous. State, are you willing to change it to a civil?
Yes, Your Honor, as long as the defendant does not get any.
Very good. As long as the defendant does not get any new law violations between now and
May 1st.
May 1st, you can take care of this at the traffic window. We'll change it to a civil.
Okay.
But if it comes May 1st and you haven't fixed it, you have to be back here to explain to me why not.
Okay, that's fine.
Ms. Angie, you got all that? All right, thank you, ma'am. Good luck. Andre Christian. And after Mr. Christian will be Edwin Rosario. Where's Edwin Rosario? Come on as close as you can get. Mr. Christian, you are charged with resisting without violence and driving while license suspended. You got a driving while license suspended in 01. This time you're suspended for not paying a ticket in Sumter County, for being on the payment plan in Lake County and missing a payment, and for getting behind in child support.
Yes, ma'am. That's getting worked on.
Hang on one second. You had a driving without a license also in Leon County that they gave you that break. What did you want to say?
Oh, by child, that's getting worked out by the child support.
Say it again?
That's getting worked out about the child support.
Okay, good. You have to pay the ticket in Sumter, you have to
ma'am.
work out the child support, and then you had a payment plan here
Yes, ma'am.
that's a year and a half past due.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you need to work out with them how much you have to pay to get them to release your license.
Yes, ma'am.
So child support, the payment plan here, and the ticket in Sumter.
Yes, ma'am.
Meanwhile, you knew you were not allowed to drive because you had an ID card. You turned in your license or whatever
Yes, ma'am.
a year ago to get an ID card because you knew you weren't allowed to drive. All right, State, what's your recommendation for Mr. Christian?
Yes, Your Honor, as to count one, resisting officer without violence, the state offers an adjudication of guilt, 6 months probation. The defendant can early terminate after paying a $200 fine. As to count two, driver license suspended, the state offers an adjudication of guilt, 6 months probation. The defendant can early terminate after paying a $200 fine. Count one and count two to be served concurrently. And there's the mandatory costs of investigation of $385 to the city of Leesburg.
Okay, my first instinct would have been jail since you had a ID and knew you weren't allowed to drive. But the state has looked at the big picture, and even though there was a resisting, what was the resisting part?
Your Honor, the defendant attempted to elude from the officers by running from the back door.
You're just determined to mess up your life.
No, ma'am, not determined.
The running would be, they could have, I don't know all the details, it might have been a fleeing and attempting to elude. You could have been in felony court, you could have ended up in prison. It's bad enough the way it is. You don't need to try to make it worse. Could you look up his Lake County payment plan case and see if, why do you have a payment plan in Lake County? Do you know?
I was on a misdemeanor. They had found a controlled substance of marijuana seeds on the ground that had due on it. They
All right, but you're sentenced on that and you were on the payment plan.
that's like I said, a year and a half ago.
But you've missed all your payments.
But that when I was on probation, I had went to jail for that. Though.
All right, I see your confusion. I tried to explain earlier that the mandatory costs are over here. What I sentence you to is over here. I do the fines and the classes and whatever. I have nothing to do with the mandatory costs. You can do 100 years in jail and you still owe the mandatory costs.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So they're suspending you at the clerk's office because you missed your payments on the mandatory costs.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you leave, you need to go ask them how you fix that. You've already told me you're fixing the child support.
Yes, ma'am.
So then the only other thing is paying the ticket in Sumter County, and you can go get your license.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, are you going to take the offer from the state, which I think is very generous given what I just read?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then we have to talk about the violation of a traffic control device. It is a $264 ticket, and the traffic control device is that you were speeding. Cutting in and out of traffic. The roads were wet. All right, so you were charged with violation of a traffic control device in that he says you ran a red light.
Yes, ma'am.
You going to plead to that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll enter no contest plea on your behalf. You have no prior running a red light, so I will withhold a finding of guilt. It's $264, and you have until September 27th to pay.
Yes, ma'am.
And go get your license.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, he needs to be printed. I didn't pull it out. Edwin Rosario, please. Mr. Rosario, you are charged with driving with no license. This is the second time you've been caught driving. You've never had a license. This is jail time. Why aren't you able to get a license?
That was suspended because child support.
Oops, then he's got another record. Do you have any identification with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it, please? Do you have an ID card?
Yes.
Can I see your ID card? The driver's license office gave it to you?
Excuse me?
You have a driver's license ID card?
No.
Yes. Yes, that's what this is, an ID card, okay. Now tell me what you said again. You have what? Tell me what you said again.
My license? I never had license, but that was suspended because the child support in New York.
This doesn't say anything about child support. All right, you had a driver's license in New York?
No. I never had one and they suspended. I don't know, I have no reason why.
All right, this says he's suspended for not paying. You got a driving with no license in Lake County
Lake County here.
last year.
Last year.
And you didn't pay it.
I had no job.
So your record got a suspension for not paying for the last time you got caught driving.
Right.
You were supposed to be on the payment plan, so I assume that's what you didn't pay and it's all the same thing. But we don't have anything about child support. I only have on your record that you're suspended for not paying your last driving with no license. Here's his ID back. Could you give him back his ID? You know you're not allowed to drive. You got caught driving anyway. It's jail time. State.
Your Honor, the state offers an adjudication of guilt, 5 days in the Lake County Jail, credit time served, gain time earned.
If you enter a no contest plea, it's 5 days. You knew you were not allowed to drive. Are you going to accept that, or are you going to say not guilty and talk to an attorney?
I speak to an attorney.
Are you able to afford a private attorney?
No.
How much do you make a week?
About $300.
Do you support anyone besides yourself?
My wife and my son.
Your wife doesn't work?
Yeah, she works.
Do you own your own vehicle?
No.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender. They may ask you some more questions about how much you make. And not guilty. And assistant public defender is in the corner right now. Go talk to him. Raymond Ayala, please. Mr. Ayala?
Yes, ma'am.
You're Raymond Ayala?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, give me a moment to read your letter. I don't know if I've done that yet.
Yes, ma'am.
You asked me to reschedule.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but you're here, so it's just...
I was sorry. I asked my boss for a day off, and he gave it to me.
All right, I sentenced you in December on a theft charge.
Yes, ma'am.
And I said, no new law violations.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me finish.
Yes, ma'am.
And then here you are on another theft charge.
Yes, ma'am.
Where do you work?
I'm actually working for this guy, Ed Workinger. He works for Remax, and he just, he buys the houses.
Okay, so you're not working in a store?
No store or nothing. Construction.
All right, the first time I sentenced you, the theft was apparently from Walmart. This time, you are charged on February 21st at 9:46. Went to Dollar General.
Yes, ma'am.
The store manager signed a sworn statement. She observed Raymond and Brittany. Is Brittany here also?
Did
she get charged also, or just you?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
Is she outside?
She's outside.
Why didn't she come in with you?
Because we got a baby girl, and she was yelling and stuff. But she already had a court date.
She's under 18?
No, she had a court date, and then she had to change it, and I changed mine.
What happened with her?
They put her in PTI. Yes, ma'am. This was actually, I would like for her to come in, if it could be possible. It says...
A witness observed two defendants entered the store with strollers. The couple each had a child in a stroller.
Correct.
The bottom of the strollers were empty when they entered.
Actually,
I'm talking.
yes, ma'am.
Harris stated that after the two entered the store, they separated. He walked around the store and came to the counter to return diapers that he had purchased from a previous day.
Correct.
While Harris was tending to Raymond, Harris stated that she observed Brittany leave the store and noticed the bottom carrier of the stroller was now full. Raymond exited the store shortly after Brittany, and upon doing so, Harris noticed that his stroller carried items as well.
Which is...
I'm talking. Harris stated that she followed the two out of the store in an attempt to get their tag number, and so they were walking away on foot. She notified law enforcement. I read the sworn statement. The store's video surveillance caught the defendants selecting the items and placing them in their strollers. While checking out the defendants, the stolen items were located in the stroller carriers. Both defendants stated they took the items to feed their children. They hadn't received their food stamps. They had taken milk, Cheez-Its, a tub of butter, Banquet frozen meals, a bag of sugar, a dozen eggs, and a loaf of bread.
That's the one thing is it says that I went through the store, which is not correct. If you see the video, when I came in, I went with the intention of returning the diapers that I had to buy something. My wife took off the other way. I didn't walk nowhere around the store. I went straight to the front counter. At the time, I had no idea what she was doing. I came in with the intention of returning the diapers and buying a couple things. That was my intention. I didn't walk around the store at all. The only time I walked around the store was when I was done in the front counter. I didn't walk in the. I didn't walk. Yes, ma'am.
I think there's probable cause, and I'll be happy to watch the video.
Yes, ma'am.
And I've already sentenced you for stealing.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think there's plenty of evidence here that you were stealing. I told you no new law violations. I told you I would sentence you to 29 days in jail on the old one if you got caught doing it again. I'm hearing you're going to say not guilty, and I'll appoint the public defender, and I'm not sure if what you're saying is my wife's the one who stole everything. I didn't steal everything.
Yes,
or
ma'am.
you're saying you don't know what she did because you were not.
Yes, ma'am.
You were separated, but you had things in your stroller that were not there when you went in and that you didn't pay for.
Which, that's another, like...
All right, I'm going to hold off on the order of commitment. Do you need the public defender, or are you getting a private attorney?
I'm not too sure how much a private attorney is going to cost. So,
Hundreds of dollars.
Oh, yeah, probably about $500 to $1,000. But if it's $500, I could afford it. If it's $1,000, I'm not going to be able to.
How much do you make a week?
$350.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender. I'm holding off on the order of commitment, but if I hear you get in any kind of trouble, I'm going to sign it, and you're going to do 29 days in jail.
Yes, ma'am.
Hold for now. I will probably be issuing it because I don't know when I've ever seen more probable cause. But I won't do it today.
Yes, ma'am.
But it's a very good probable cause affidavit, and
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think the jury
But-
would not have a hard time finding you guilty if they believe it.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, but once you see the video, you'll see I was literally in the front of the store. I returned the diapers.
I have a sworn statement. You came in with nothing at the bottom of the stroller. You left with stuff at the bottom of the stroller.
I didn't have anything in the bottom of my stroller.
Okay, then they're all three of them liars, and you're the one who tells the truth. If the jury finds you guilty, you're going to jail for a long time.